Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Darcy's Misadventures with Mixed Media, and I have been playing with a giant masterboard this week. Basically, I have just taken kind of like plain writable papers on one side and collage papers on the other side. Sometimes I mix it up, and so now I have this really large masterboard roll. Biddy Penny just did a video on this recently too. She called it rolling paper, but I thought I would come ahead and show you the one that I made this week and maybe start a new one, or I could just continue with this one. So here it's more writing paper because I did it on the wrong side when I switched ends. So then on the other side of this I've started adding more colorful papers. But you can do it any way. You could have half and half, because if you're gonna, I'm probably going to use these as journal pages. So I would like to have both decorative and writing pages. So I might incorporate that a little bit more into this next one. Oh, you want to see what the back side looks like? I just like a patchwork effect on my journal pages, and also it allows you to make big journals by doing it this way too. I mean, if you want to. My only suggestion would maybe be to don't make it any taller than your whatever you have to cut it with. All right, so that's the other side. So that one is a little taller than my cutting board. So that is going to make it a little bit harder to cut, but that's okay because that's what rulers and utility knives are for. So you know, if you do make it too big, you still have a way to cut it. So you can start with anything. Book pages is a good way to start. These are kind of thin, but that's okay because it's going to be doubled. So I'm going to pull out some book pages. That's what Biddy Penny used, book pages in hers. I will link hers below, her video that she did. Also, I have lots of scraps of varying colors, and I've got this. What is this called? Paper bag. I also have just a box full of just plain papers. So this is how I'm going to start. I'm just going to grab some of these plain papers out of here. Maybe start with a larger one. And I'm going to try to make it not more than 12 inches high so it will fit in my cutter later. We'll see. That's a good one to start with. I go for more blues, but it's not that big a deal. Just going to pull out a handful of papers here. It is helpful if they're similar weights, but since I'm doing both sides, it doesn't matter too much. You just might have a little bit, not as much give when you go to hold them if you're making them as pages. Also, they can end up being pockets or journal cards or whatever. One good way to get started is to just grab a piece of Amazon packaging even. You won't have the patchwork effect, but it's a nice big piece that is easy to work with. Or you could just tear down that piece even and just start gluing pieces onto that, which is what I might do right now. And I don't need it any taller than 12 inches because then I'm gonna have issues. So that's gonna be my height. That way I'm able to cut it easily. You can make it bigger if you want to. The nice thing about making it bigger is then if you want to make one of those big pouches like Natasha Treasure Books made recently, then you could do that. I have another. Hold on, let me find it. Oh, here it is. I was working on more than one. So here's another one that I was working on. This one I haven't done the back. This one I was just doing collage papers. So this one is a little bit shorter. It's not even on one side, but that's all right. So here is another example. And this one I haven't done writing space on the back. It's just... And I started with this big piece and then just started adding to the ends. Oh, and then apparently I flipped it here. to have just random, take out the paper clip. I use paper clips to help hold it together while I'm working on it. Because yes, it is big, but I roll it while I'm working on it. And it's a fun way to use scraps. I like a patchwork style look in my journals. And I wouldn't even bother doing this until I have it in a journal. Then I could just decorate the back side once there are pages in a journal. It's just not quite as thick to work with, which is a good thing. And then I've got some of my painty papers that I've put in here that may get cut down eventually when they're in the journal and not be a full size. Or I could have cut them down before I even put them in here. And they don't match perfectly, but that's okay. You know, I like a little Payne's gray or navy blue in anything that I use. So that is another one. But what's nice about these, so like if you watch Treasure Books and she made like the really big pouches, is you can just cut it down to the size you want and make a nice big pouch, or big journal pages, or small journal pages. But let's start just with getting some backings on these. So this will be the writing side that I'm working on first. And then I'll work on the more decorative side. Or I was going to do a combination, wasn't I? That's all right. This does not have to be done perfectly. I just want to do it. This is a fun way for me. I like that on the other side we're going to have, this ripped look here, which will add interest. Don't know why I went that way with it. It's not what my intention was. I don't want to lose all that prettiness. Oh, that was going to make me sad if I did that. Not the end of the world, because I can it's a digital. I can reprint it if I can find it. Not that I can remember who it is. But if you know who this is, let me know. Might be Manu Design Studio, but I don't know. So like that's a writable portion of the page, and maybe down here I want to do something that is just more colorful and fun, and just kind of offset it a little bit. So it's not, I don't like to line up my lines, so I'd be more likely to offset this piece. Just kind of glue the edge there and the edge here. You can use any glue. I'll probably start using some art glitter glue or whatever in a minute, and then so then when it's a page in a journal, you're going to have writing space up here and then just a decorative background down here, depending on where it's cut and how it's cut. And then I might just go ahead and flip this over and work a little bit on this side to add something. What? I don't know. Might even just add that. Just random scraps. For the bigger pieces that I'm gluing on all the way, I do like to use the glue stick because it's a little bit more dry. And something like this, where it was ripped there, I'm more likely to use it up here so that it kind of looks like it was collaged on there. I mean, that, you know, that it had been cut after it was collaged is kind of the idea for that. Maybe. And then that could be interesting right there. And so I'm just going to do the edge on this side and the edge on this side so that they just glue down nicely. And you do it how you like it. If you want it to be ripped pages, do ripped pages. If you want rectangles, do rectangles. You do you, boo. Add circles, add whatever you like. And like here, I didn't glue this top part here I'm just going to glue this side part right there just to get that glued down, because you could use that as like a kind of a hidden pocket later. Bitty Penny also had that as an idea. So I might just add this piece of paper bag. Paper bags are great to use for backing. You're upcycling a piece, and they just gives a nice neutral kind of a deal. You know what I'm saying? Oops, I didn't need to do that bottom part so much, did I? You can always glue them on more later, and then you can sew this at some point if you want to, or you can just glue and like it like that. But I like the patchwork effect, which is what I keep saying. what I like about this. What I like about you. So when you have strips like this, you just kind of overlap, use them wherever. It's not a big deal. But like I said, you just might want to keep it no taller than your paper cutter. And then I might just go ahead and add one of these over here since I've got more than one. And hope that my glue will keep working. I think I need to refill my glues. This is just art glitter glue. My glue stick is the Scotch Create. Use whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong. Like I say all the time, there's no wrong way to create, except for to not create. Not creating is the only way. Or not creating out of fear is the only wrong thing. You just create and have fun with it. That's my take on it. But I like overlapping. I just like the look of it. I don't need the colors to match perfectly. Let's see. That's kind of, I might even bring this over here just to add a pop of color in here. Right there, maybe. Yep, just add a random piece right in the middle of some writing space. That'll work too. So I hope everybody's doing well. I did 2 courses of the prednisone, and I'm not any better. So my next appointment isn't until May 28th. So I'm hoping that my rheumatologist will figure out a treatment that helps with the pain and helps deter future damage. Because that's what I'm probably most nervous about. This piece is a little bit thicker paper, so that's going to affect how it rolls, and I want to make sure it's glued down good before I start rolling it. But what I do, because you know it starts to get really big and hard to work on, so I will just take the one end, hard to work on, and just start rolling it. So I just roll that piece up and then take a couple paper clips and paper clip that down, and then as I'm going just continue to roll and continue to add paper clips. It does help if you have it a little bit straightish, sort of. Obviously I do not have this perfectly perfect. Alright, so I'm gonna put this one down at the bottom more, and now I can work on this side while that, and then I just keep rolling it and moving the paper clips as I go. That's all I do for that. And then so for more fragile pages it's not so bad because you've got what's the word I want? It's reinforced with the back of it. And I'm not worried that my pages aren't perfect. I think that just gives it interest, and I tend to do grungy anyway. So I'm not too worried that the edges of this book page are kind of ripped and whatnot. So you end up with at least 2 layers of paper. Oops, throughout. Oh my goodness, see, I told you, fragile. Fragile throughout this roll. And it's still, so it's thick enough to be used for pockets and tags and journal cards if you want to, and thin enough to still be used for pages. Probably ends up being, let's say if you're using like 20 to 24, it ends up being a little lighter than cardstock. Because if you're using 20 to 24 pound page weights, then you'll end up with like a 40 to 50 pound weight, and cardstock is usually like a lightweight cardstock is like around 65. So, and this is a good way to do it. If you like all your words going up and down, then you can do that. I don't really care. So I'm not worried about that. Also, you can pull in some envelope backings, that, you know, security envelopes. Those are nice to have in there as neutrals, because I do kind of like to break up some of the colorful things with some neutrals. Let's see. What do I have labeled? That's red, or violet, I should say. This one's a little bit heavier. I use a lot of gel plate prints when I'm doing this, and I usually will use my ruler to tear them, because it's just faster than using scissors or the cutter, and I don't need it to be perfectly straight. I'll save that just in case I have a little piece somewhere down the line that I need to do. And then later today, I'm hoping to start working on a video for a collaboration coming up in June that I'm really excited about. So we have that to look forward to. I have that to look forward to. All right, these are pretty dark, solid colors. They can also be written on. So I'm just going to just overlap that some. Like I said, I don't mind if some of that part shows through. I don't want to cover the number. That's my favorite part on that. But if I have pages like that and I cut them down to smaller pieces and use them throughout the collage piece, then I end up with kind of a somewhat of a cohesive kind of a deal. That actually would be kind of cool right there. Let's go back. And you can unroll it and add pieces to other places anytime you want. So that's nice. Like I said, I like to overlap. I don't like for all my lines to match up. That's just not me. You don't have to use a deckled edge ruler. You can just use a regular ruler. Use what you have. I'm all about using what you have, in case you're wondering. Trying to get a little bit more adventurous with my collaging and do more overlapping pieces, kind of like this, you know. Make it be a little bit more interesting in the end. Let's see. Oh, you can even add, you know, floral pieces here and there, like fussy cut pieces you can add throughout, especially flowers. Ooh, I just ordered a book. Should be coming today that I will be playing with, that I'm very excited about. It's a book of flowers, illustrated flowers. It's new book, so it's regular price, but it looked like it had some really cool and interesting images. So I'm very excited to get that and play with that. It's a good option if you don't have a printer, using, you know, book pages. And so it's a book of flowers. I'll show it to you when I get it. I need to save those strips for when I need them. All right, this is going to be a page somewhere, but also I can use it. I don't know if I put this one in my shop or not. If so, I don't even know where it would be. But I had like some backgrounds, and then I had a doodle, and I just made that the edge pieces. I'm just gonna stick that right on there and use this. She says, if it will. So one of the problems is sometimes I have to use both hands to be able to get enough pressure to do what I'm trying to do. You just need to overlap at least a little bit so your pages don't, you don't have to overlap a ton if you're, especially if you're doing both sides, just because, you know, you don't. I don't know how I feel about that. Do I want to bring this in here? But I really like this thing. I could do this. Yep, I'll just do that. Doesn't have to be that big of a piece, but my hope is that it's going to get cut down the middle somewhere, cut somewhere on that when I cut it down to a smaller piece anyway. And if it doesn't, well, it'll get folded, you know. The whole thing won't be on one page probably. So this is a good way to use up some of your digitals. Because you can, you know, break your digitals down to smaller pieces, especially if it's coordinating digital, and then you have like a new coordinating piece, all because you just added similar pieces throughout. Let's do this. Turn it over. I'm just going to put it right there. I don't worry too much about everything coordinating because I like eclectic. Eclectic is a way of life. I don't know. That's a smaller piece to use later. I try to use bigger pieces. This one's quite a bit thicker. But I'm still gonna stick it in here somewhere. Maybe right on the end right there. Probably will end up covering the back side of it. Although the nice thing, even though it's, you know, it's grungy on the back, and that's one way you know that it is a mixed media piece that is handmade, because it's got the paint on the back. So there's that. What just fell? Something fell. I don't know what fell. It's not like my floor is clean and I can see what fell. Alright. So yeah, this is just how I'm making this. It's not super exciting. I can even bring in, oh crud, now I know what fell that time was my glue stick. I could even bring in some vintage envelopes, and I could even just glue it on there. But I don't know where it would end up, and I wouldn't want it to cut in half. But I could tear it up and glue it on there as collage pieces, which would be kind of cool. Or I could even, you know, have it to be glued on there as a pocket. I kind of like the idea of that as a pocket, but you know, that just was on my desk, which is why I brought that up. That was the only reason. The only reason that got, and I don't mind words going two different places. I know some people, that's an issue for them. It is not an issue for me. I just think of the words as lines and interest. Is how I get over that. And I can always add more things to it later, especially if I'm doing some things that maybe make it not match so great. I'm gonna just stick this one on here. I don't want to cover up that 115 though. All right, that is, whoops, barely touching this paper, but that's okay because something else is going to go on the back of it, which will connect it better. Mo better. Could even be that piece right there. Could do it. All right, now when I see pink and green together, I just have a song come in my head. Fairly Odd Parents song. Because there was like this trend or this, what do you call it, when TikTok, you know, see these things happening on TikTok all over the place. But anyway, it was like people would keep showing things in the room that implied that the Fairly Odd Parents were there because they were pink and green stuff that was together, which was funny. I don't care who you are, that's funny right there. It was silly. Anyway, maybe more silly than funny, but you know. My dad got a new car. He kind of had to. He didn't really have a choice. His old, there was a 2008 Ford Explorer, Eddie Bauer edition, because he bought it up in Massachusetts, and so the whole bottom was rusted out, and it was not going to pass inspection. So he got a new Ford Explorer. It's blue and it's pretty. So, you know, that's fun. And I want to put that further away. I kind of like this because there's orange on there. I don't usually like this sideways, but we're going to live with it sideways because it's just a small piece. The damask, I usually like a damask to be up and down, but I'm not going to worry about that today. What else do we have over here? We have, that is more orange than that. We have this fun piece, which has some orange in it, so it could work. I'm just gonna stick it on the end right here. And what else do we have here? That one's very orange. I mean, do we want all that orange right next to each other? Not necessarily, but the other side's going to be in the same book. Oh, we like orange and turquoise together. It's all good. I'm going to find something a little bit more neutral to put in between, I think. She says, maybe some more paper bag. I think I will stick that piece of paper bag right there. How are we doing on time? Not terrible. I don't want it to be like a super long video though. So that will give that something to hold on to. And I will just come down here. Glue down there. Adjust that so it's not wrinkled. It's all fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. These things are on fire right now. Just kind of fold that up and tear that off. A ruler would be good. Any ruler. Excuse my reach while I grab a ruler. There we go. Easy peasy. And so we'll have writing space there and there with decoration on the page if that's what we are so inclined to do. I feel like I need to like pick an end and kind of like level off that end so that I can use it, so I can roll it. I got a little bit of, actually what I'll do is just tear that off. So this can be my rolly end now. Just kind of, I don't mind that sticking up. I might want to make that a pocket later. You never know. Little hidden gem. But yeah, this is getting a little unwieldy. And so you can do it like this, where you've got like writing space and decorative space on both sides. Or you could do it where there's just writing space on one side and decorations on the other side. You do you. Do what makes you happy. This is just, I wanted to try it like this. So I'm going to keep working on this, and then I will come back and I will cut some pages down and make a really fast journal with them. Okay, I'm about done, ready to be done with this, but I'm going to show you a couple things that I started doing close to the end here. So like this piece here at the top, I folded in half. So it's going to have this piece on both sides. And if I just glue the edge here, it could be a pocket wherever it ends up being on the page potentially. So I am going to do that right here. I'm just going to glue across the bottom there. I did glue it on completely on that side. And then I'm going to also do that here as well, because, you know, more pockets, more better. So let's see. I'm going to glue this one onto the back of this. And I'll have some connecting pieces on the other side so that it connects really well. So I'm just gluing that on here. Actually, I'm going to glue it this way just because... No, I wouldn't. Or, sorry, I had a thought, but the thought was not thoughting. And then I might not even glue that down because that could kind of be a flip up in the page somewhere, couldn't it? So I'm not even going to glue that down right now. This part here, I'm going to leave it open, but I'll glue around it, if that makes any sense. It will in a second. Let's see. Wish I had. Do I have some more of this? Yes, I do. Oh, no, I don't want to use that right there though. Oh my goodness. Suddenly, oh, summer. Let's just go ahead and use some coffee dyed paper, tea dyed paper, whatever it is. And glue that on the edges. And, you know, maybe this will end up being a pocket eventually, or maybe it won't. And then I can find something to go down at the bottom here that has a similar color, and I could even do that again. Just fold it over. I'm just gonna tear it. Just tear it. Because sometimes I do like a more organic look. And I'm going to glue that outside piece there. Try to have it on here fairly straight. This is me being extra because that's what I do. So then this piece here, I will need to find something sharp to just, there we go. And now that can be a flip out here. And I will cut that there and glue that top piece down. So that could be a flip out inside a page somewhere, or it could be a pocket, depending on. And then if it gets cut off, it gets cut off, whatever. We'll try not to cut it off, but there is always that possibility and potentiality, because, you know, I don't know how these are going to get cut in the end. You know, where exactly they're going to get cut. And also doing these all on one page doesn't really make a lot of sense, but they won't all be on one page. They'll be differently done. All right, let's put another piece of this over here, just on this end piece here. And you can use as big of pages or as small of pages as you want. Of course, it'll go faster if you use big pages, so there's that. Let's see, something in the middle here. How about Gail's lacy background paper might work. Yep, just stick that in there. Oh yeah, nice. It's got that on that side, so that works. I had what is his name? Anthony? Anyway, the guy that made the digital for Gail, I on the back of that I put Gail's digitals. All right, I'm going to glue this end piece. Try to keep that fairly straight. There we go. Can always put pockets on later. I don't need to make any of these pockets. I could even just fold them in half and just glue it down completely. This one, I think I do want to make it one big pocket, basically. So yeah, this is what I've been doing. And then this over here, now it's kind of, sometimes it gets a little bit wrinkled and you just gotta come back through and re-glue it. It's not a big deal. So let's see, I can put something, how do we, I don't know that I want the pink there, but we'll just do some pink. Why not? There's pink and teal throughout this, and a little orange here and there, just for funsies. This was supposed to be open on that side though, wasn't it? So what I'm gonna do, I think, is I'm gonna glue that under that. That's what I'm gonna do. Then I can still get into that pocket. Because you gotta think about these things sometimes. And just do it like that. There we go. Then that can still be a pocket when it ends up being somewhere. I can cover that if I want to. Not overly bothered. Some of these papers are thicker than other papers, so if I don't back them, it's not the end of the world. And then some of them are so thin that you have to back them or they will just start tearing. So there's that. So I have just been having fun just gluing papers. I'll show you what the big whole thing looks like in a second, and then I'll probably just start cutting it. I do want to end this in a straightish line. I mean, it doesn't have to be. And I could even just come through and do it like this. Instead of continuing to add on until I get straight, I can just tear off until it's straight, and then could even glue that. There we go. Just glue it right around the edge even. We could have done that with that other piece, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and look at both sides of this. So here's one side. Whoops, knocking stuff off the other side of the, take my paper clips out. So yeah, you spend an afternoon gluing stuff down and you end up with a big giant roll. Here I didn't double the back, so it's a little bit more flexible, but I can adjust that later. And that's one side. You want to see the other side too? Oh my goodness, it's long. It's definitely taller than me. And here's the other side. It's just fun to have giant papers. These middle pieces are a little bit off as far as aesthetically, but you know, I do eclectic, and that's why I do eclectic. I make them work in the end. Alright, so I'm going to cut these at like they're about 12, well that's 13 I think actually, more than 12 inches tall. And then I will cut them about that. And I'm just going to use my ruler. And some pages will be longer and some will be shorter. And so, you know, if you're going to use your ruler to tail them, then you could just make sure that they're at least not higher than your ruler. But you can move the ruler, so that's not a big deal. So now I have a smaller piece. And I don't necessarily want my journal to be quite this big though. So what's the halfway point here? About here. Right about here is about the halfway point. I'm not going to worry too much about perfection. It's just going to be a fun little journal. And might be a little journal even. I think that's about the half. So yeah, I didn't have to do that. So I've got enough on here that even if I'm making a small journal, I've got enough scraps on there that it has interest. That's one way to find the middle. Alright, let's do another strip. Now I can use one of these to get kind of my length. And I'm not worried about something being cut down the middle, because all that means this is going to be in more than one place in the journal. And that's always nice. So I'm going to make a little journal. Not tiny, but you know. These are ending up being about 6 by 7-ish. Give or take. I'm not being perfect with it. The pages won't all be perfect. And I'm okay with that. Just kind of get a rough estimate. They're just going to be interesting. That's what I like about it. All right, one more set gets us back to the beginning here. I do kind of want that whole flower though, so I am going to do that. And I might still have to reinforce in a couple places, and that's all right too. All right, let's just go ahead and start folding. I have no control over where pages are folding, although I could fold this a little further in just so that it folds a little easier, because these glued pieces were so close to the middle that they were giving me issues. So what I will probably do is just kind of tear that off right there so that it's not on the fold. Do I have a bone folder? You know, you'd think I would, but no. Alright, and then this one, I might fold a little bit more to the middle. And then this piece I didn't glue down, so I could bring it this way, or I could fold it around the edge, whatever I wanted to do. And then this has a lot of writing space on this side, or I could glue some stuff down. Let's see. So I've got map and map, so those I'm going to separate a little bit. Kind of do whatever. Some are a little more plain than others. Some have a lot more writing space than others. Ooh, that's thick in the middle there. So this one I'm going to fold where it folds easier, just to make my life easier. That one, I'm going to tear off that piece that got torn funkily. We got this piece. I did do kind of words going either way. So, and some of my pages are thicker. That is part of the issue you're going to have, if some of your pages are thicker, is it might not fold as easily. But then but those thicker pages are good for and it did tear. No, it's just not tearing. It's yeah, I can reinforce that or do something with that later. So yeah, you can see it's a little bit more of a struggle where the pages are thicker. Which way do I want this one to go? Doesn't really matter. Nothing really matters. Now I can put those in there. And I have like all kinds of coordinating pages now for a fun little journal. Let's go ahead and stick this one in there somewhere. All right, I'm gonna bind this off camera because things are more fiddly for me now than they once were. I'm not worried that they are not. I might take this biggest one. Is this the biggest one? And make that the cover. That's what I might do. Let's see. This one's also bigger. So I will just fold it in. I mean, it could stick out too. That's not really a big deal. I'm thinking about just having that be a little flip there. And this side can fold in as well. See, because I was not precise in my cutting. That's fine. Alright, I will be right back. I'm going to bind this as just a little single signature journal. And then I might put something on the edge just to reinforce it, because that's kind of thinner paper. I'll be right back. Alright, so I just used some baker's twine because that's what I had. And if you have hands like mine, this is your friend to get that needle pulled through. I just did a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Super simple, just a little one signature. I don't even have like a hard cover. I just have this paper on here, which is pretty flimsy. It's not even double-sided or anything. So I may put something on the outside here just to reinforce that thin paper that I've got on the outside. But what I love is how the pages kind of I don't love how thick it is. It is a little bit thicker than I thought it was going to be, but I think it'll be better in a bigger book. It's still kind of fun in this. And then like a big piece like this, you just see throughout the journal. For a smaller journal like this, you'll see that piece come up here and there. And any other pieces that I used a larger piece for. And see, so it's all coordinated. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, I had to add that piece because it tore there. So you got to watch for that too. But, you know, still got a lot of writing space in some of these pages. And I got some places where I haven't glued it down, so I could glue it down. I could tuck something under there and have that be the top piece or whatever. And yeah, some have more decorated paper, some have more writing paper. And I love that about it. So yeah, you can make yourself a big masterboard roll and use it to for papers. If I don't like that this sticks up over the cover, I could either add something to the cover or I could cut those down. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. Remember that book I mentioned earlier? It came. So I thought they were illustrated, but they're not. They're photographs. But, I mean, they've got all this white background. So I'm going to be playing with these pages to make some ephemera. This is Flower Color Guide. It has 400 pictures. So even if I can only use one side of each, that's 200. And it was on sale from $35 to $200. You could either fussy cut them, or they're a little hard to fussy cut. So I will probably do like I do, or I either fussy tear them, or I've got some other ideas too. So I hope you guys enjoyed my giant masterboard on a roll. We're on a roll. And let me know if you make it. I hope you guys have a delightful day. Love you.